Hey friends, it is Cindy Rowe, and I am back with the Kindness Advantage, and I am so excited. I have a special guest here for you today. Meet my good friend from LinkedIn. We've only met through virtual spaces, but she is a kindness sister, and I'm so excited to have Kristi here today. Hello, Kristi.
Hey Cindy, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. You want to let my listeners know who you are and what you're all about besides my LinkedIn kindness friend?
Yeah, sure. I love that LinkedIn kindness sister. So yeah, Cindy and I met, as she mentioned, through LinkedIn. I have been working in the kindness space for the last 2 decades. And I started off in leadership development, team building, a lot of working in workplaces, talking about staff engagement and happiness and what that looks like, and how we spend so much time at work. We better like the people we're working with and like the work that we're doing, and how that really corresponds heavily to our entire life satisfaction. And as I was doing that, I had gotten somebody else reached out to me and said, "Hey, we do this work with students. Would you be interested? It's really similar to what you're doing with adults." And at first I thought, no, I've got two of my own. They're going through their own stuff. I have no interest in being with kids all day. And they were a great friend, great salesperson, and said, just come see what we're doing. And I did, and I fell in love with it. They were doing bullying prevention and restorative practices in schools.
Wow.
And it was incredibly powerful. And I thought, if I could help students see this earlier, and staff and parents, how wild would that be that I wouldn't have to be doing what I'm doing with adults, because I really felt like there was a
Mm.
part of me that was teaching adults kindergarten skills, like, use your words, play nice, step out from behind your desk, um, keep your hands and your feet to yourself, really kind of simple things some days. And so I fell into that space a little bit. And then I had some folks say, hey, would you, work with me on the side kind of thing? Or would you work with myself and my kids, or myself and my partner? Or, and so I found myself doing some personal coaching. And that was kind of, a little bit about what we were chatting about earlier, is really finding that space to be kind to ourselves, and fill our own cups before we're trying to fill other people's. So that's a little bit of my background.
Yeah, awesome. I want to know like these restorative practices in school that sounds so new age, but holy cow, I think that if that was part of every school curriculum or whatever, like, could you imagine the healthy children we would be building for, the future? Like,
Yes, I was literally just speaking with an educator earlier today, and we were talking about the lack of practical education
mm,
in the education system.
for sure.
And, how in the past it was common that, there was a home economics course,
Yeah.
and there was automotive tech, and it wasn't just for boys. It was, kind of an expectation that you'd teach a girl how to change a tire or the oil, or, whatever. There was courses about learning how to manage your finances, how to manage a checkbook. And one of the comments they made was, they framed it with, I'm not big on psychology,
Hmm.
but I wonder if we did teach students about themselves, about communication, about bullying prevention, about, respecting others, about, and it brings it to less of like that woo woo new agey space, and really about self-confidence, teaching kids to feel like, I'm somebody too, I matter, I'm pretty, I'm smart, I'm like all these things, like fill in the blank, that we're our own worst critic about.
Sure.
um I think it really brings us to a place of recognizing that that's a real life skill, and it's an important life skill. And for so long, it's kind of gone untended to, because it was deemed new agey or not important or woo
Mhm.
woo, or why should I have to teach people that? When I think the real answer is, how else are they going to learn?
Right. Yeah, it's just as important as the math, science, and history and all the computer crap. Yeah,
Yes.
that is, yeah, so cool. I would love to see that more. And I think that if the focus was on that at an early age, just think of the humans that would grow, and it would just be who they are versus trying to help a 45-year-old person learn kindness or, respect in the
Yes.
workplace. It's like, yeah, it would
Yeah.
just almost come naturally, like this is how we treat people.
Right.
And
Well, and it changes cultures, and when you can change one culture, it can have that ripple effect out to an entire community. And
yeah.
so what we were finding in some of the data is that when these schools would go through this process of a 2-day workshop, and they would meet monthly with these students, and they would participate in the activities we provide, it has a reduction on average of 34% in their discipline rates,
Jeez. Yeah.
which is astronomical. I mean, if you
Huge.
tell an administrator that, like, who wouldn't be on that programming?
Right.
Because it takes that off of their plate, and instead it's giving personal development skills
Mhm.
where they're necessary, and it's teaching students how to uh, coach and mentor and work alongside their peers, and say in some situations like, hey, that's really uncomfortable, or that didn't feel good, or that wasn't right, instead of, you know, Mrs. Rowe,
Yeah.
Kristi, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, honey bun, when you graduate, you're not going to be able to go to your boss and say, so and so treated me this way. You're going to be
Right.
expected to go to the person yourself and have a big conversation.
Yeah, right.
So it's providing those tools.
Yeah, I that's incredible. Awesome. Now you did mention about filling our own cup and the importance of
Mm,
self-kindness, and I want you to expand on that because I share that a lot, not
mhm.
only here on the podcast, but when I speak. And it's as women, it's so I think it's more relevant for women, I feel.
Yes. Yes. I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and it talked about the effects on women of all of the household expectations, like, you're the one who knows. I was actually on a call with a couple the other night, and the gentleman was sharing that he was at his mom's celebrating her birthday. And he's like, I think it was her 82nd. And the partner, the girl, chimes in and says, yes, it was her 82nd. And I just had to laugh because I thought it's such a seemingly simple thing, and yet, as women, we tend to hold all of those details and
Yeah.
all of the surrounding items that need to be tended to. So, whose birthday is it? Who do we need to get a present for? Who needs to go to the doctor? Who needs to show up early to school? Who needs to stay after for band practice? Who needs to be, I mean, fill in the blank. Um, and I don't think that, in a perfect situation where you've got a partner who's able to carry some of that load for you, fantastic. And I think we're in a crisis sometimes in our current Western culture where both parents are working.
Yeah.
And so when both parents are working full time, who's filling in that gap of what the mom used to fill in?
Right.
And I don't know that it needs to fall in any one place in particular, but when it is falling on the mom, I think what we're finding is that, they get to whatever day, let's say Friday, and they're exhausted. And, a partner wants to hang out over the weekend and is wondering why mom's so exhausted. And the kids want to hang on mom and is wondering why mom is so exhausted. And um, I didn't I feel like it was something I had in my mind, like I understood in theory, until I really experienced it for myself deeply with my own kids, post-divorce, dealing with mental challenges, an adoptive child, legal systems, and really acknowledging I was the primary person in all of those wheelhouses.
Mhm.
And really people saying to me like, well, what are you doing for yourself? And at the time, I was like, I don't have time to do anything for myself. Like, that doesn't even fit in the equation right now. And I didn't realize until I finally was encouraged more or pressured more to do so, that I was like, oh my gosh, like the stuff that I'm telling other people,
Yeah,
I
right.
wasn't applying for myself.
It always works that way.
Right? I had someone I worked with before who told me we teach what we need to learn. And
That's brilliant.
girl, I have looked back at my
My
life, right? So many times, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so true. Here I've been telling people,
Yeah,
take care of yourself, take care of yourself, take care of yourself. I'm not doing it myself. And I found how wildly my life shifted emotionally, mentally, relationally, communally, in so many ways. Simple things, getting enough sleep, eating the right foods, asking for help when I need it,
yeah,
having grace with myself, and instead of pushing through, saying it's okay if you stop for today. You don't always have to achieve, you don't always have to come out on top, you don't always have to be your kids everything or your partner's everything. And I think a lot of my work stemmed from that concept of it's a great idea to be kind in schools. It's a great idea to be kind at work. It's a great idea to be kind in the community. And how can we have that expectation if somebody's not able to do it to themselves?
right. Yeah. And well, I think you can only give what you've got, right? And
Yes.
like if you don't know how to be kind to yourself, you can't be that kind to other people. Like
Right.
you have to do it to yourself. And kindness comes, I believe, from within, right? And you're giving you're giving it, right? And it is all too often that we put ourselves last.
Mhm.
But man, when you can give yourself kindness, the amount that overflows to other people is like I don't even know the word. Like this incredible the impact that you can have. What do you
Yeah.
like I know like I grew up I in a household where we didn't talk about like self-care or self-kindness. Well,
Mm.
kindness was a word in our house, but
Yeah.
and I didn't like please I had a great
Yep.
childhood. It's just it was you never really heard those terms,
Hmm.
never self-care. And so it wasn't until, I don't even know what 40s where like I thought about self-care, I thought about self-kindness,
Yeah.
and really took it made it a practice that I needed to do that for me so that I
Mhm.
could be the best human possible for my children,
Right.
for my friends, for my partner. Like it
Yeah.
was necessary. I don't know if you agree
Yeah.
with all that, but
Yeah, I think that's really common and same. I grew up in a very wonderful, stable family. I will say there was a lot of emphasis, and I think part of this is also me being firstborn, on accomplishment.
Mhm.
And I think part of that was um, if you're focusing inward, you're being selfish.
Yeah, selfish is
Yeah.
definitely
And I don't think that was, it wasn't told to me like that, but I
no.
think some of the implications of conversation led to that assumption in my own thought process and thinking. Um, and to your point, I mean, I can't give somebody something I don't have. And I think one of the best practices that I found was really considering if Cindy came to me with this query that I'm currently struggling with or staying up at night about or ruminating about or whatever, how would I respond to Cindy?
Yeah.
Because what I found myself doing was having a different standard for myself than I did for other people. And I didn't have the same amount of grace. I didn't have the same amount of understanding or acceptance or empathy or compassion.
Yeah.
Um, and it wasn't until I was able to flip that script that I was then able to provide those things to other people tenfold
Yeah.
in comparison to what I was before. And so I think that would be my argument when people say, well, that's selfish. I'm like, no, actually, to your point, I'm a better person. I'm contributing better to my community, to my family, to humanity, by ensuring that I'm healthy before I try and help other people be healthy.
Yeah. I I'm trying to remember her name, but on Instagram I saw this post, and she's a well-known person. I want to say her first name's Kristen, but maybe I'll find a video and put it in the show notes. But she had conversations on a couch with her mother and a couple good friends,
Mm.
and she's like, describe yourself or something like that, and it was always negative. And then she put
Mm.
out a picture of them as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what would you say to this person? And I'm like, I just got goosebumps, but like I was
Yeah,
in tears. We would never talk to our younger self like that. We would never tell her that she was
right.
ugly and, incompetent and whatever. Like,
Mhm.
you would never have that conversation.
Yeah,
You want to tell her, like, you're worthy, you're strong, you're beautiful, like, you can have anything you want, type of thing. Like, it, and so what I took from that is, yeah, like, how would I say something to you, or how would I say it to my younger self? And
right.
watch how your language shifts because you're more aware. I
Yeah.
think it was beautiful. So if I can find that, I will share it and give
Yeah.
credit to the proper person. But it was really moving. I think some people don't know like what self-kindness looks like. What are your
Mm.
favorite tools, or like your favorite go-tos for, helping others figure out self-kindness?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so great that you just asked that because I was going to follow up on your child comment, and I would love to see that video because I went to an inner child workshop a couple years ago. Um and I wasn't too sure about it at first. I felt like it was something that I really was like suspending judgment going into. And I thought, I'm here, I'm going to participate fully. We'll see what comes of it. Some of the techniques, I kind of was like, ooh, I don't know about this. I don't know how comfortable I am. But one of the exercises, a couple things, I guess. So they asked us to come with pictures of our younger self. And we use those throughout the week. And then one of the specific exercises that I've since encouraged people to do is like literally to sit across from a picture of your younger self. So I'm struggling through something. Maybe I'm having an argument with my partner, an argument with my kids. And instead of thinking about it as 46-year-old Kristi with all this experience and all this criticism and all this like baggage and whatever,
Mhm.
looking at younger Kristi across from me and literally having a conversation with her. And it was interesting because the way they had us do it, where there was pillows in between us,
Mhm.
and you would switch positions. And so, like, I would be 46-year-old Kristi talking to younger Kristi, and then I would move when I'm younger Kristi talking to older Kristi. And it was such a powerful, like, moving experience to really put ourselves in that more innocent mindset where we didn't have all this baggage, where we didn't have all this experience, where we weren't so intellectualized. Um, and I found that to be similarly powerful with other folks that I've done coaching with to say, like, have you talked to your inner child today? And, it was like one of the homework assignments they sent us home with, like literally every day, check in with your inner child. Like, how did that meeting go? Don't ask 46-year-old Kristi how it went. Ask your inner child how it went. Did people feel seen? Did they feel heard? I heard a gentleman recently say he received a compliment from somebody in his DMs, and it said something to the effect of, if we were in elementary school, you're the person I would hang my coat up next to.
Oh.
And he got emotional sharing it, but he said, it meant so much to him that this person felt seen, they felt heard, they felt validated, they felt justified. Um, and a lot of times it's not that we have to agree with
No.
the person's assessment. It's that they want to be heard. It's that they want to know that somebody sees you, somebody's acknowledging you, somebody's showing up with the compassion that maybe you can't show up with for yourself right now.
Right.
And so I think that's the same with the inner child conversation is you're not always going to have that other person there. So when you don't, can you put yourself in that framework of what would younger Kristi say? What would younger Cindy say? What would I say to a friend?
Mhm. Yeah. And that's to that point is one of the tips I share is, talk kindly to yourself. Like if you wouldn't say it to your daughter or your child, or if
Right,
you wouldn't say it to your best friend, then you do not say it to yourself like that.
right.
Because I honestly, when I was probably at my darkest spot, like I would in the morning, I'd wake up and I'm like, okay, fat ass, get up. It's time to work out.
Mm,
Like, what? And I would
mhm,
never say that now. Like I've learned, like, no, all right, get up. It's time to you get to move. Like
mhm.
it's like changing, reframing. Like I would never like I'm so glad that I checked myself. I mean, it took a while, but like that's not motivating.
Right,
What was I thinking? But
right.
I mean, there's so much of that inner dialogue that we have with ourselves. Like, we've got to
Mhm.
really pay attention to how we are talking to ourselves and making sure that we're saying something that we would share to our child or to our best friend. Because if we're not, then we need to change that tone
Yeah,
and
yeah. I think it's really
words
common.
matter.
Yes, yes. I think something I've really been excited about recently over the last handful of years, and then even more so recently, is I've been doing a lot of work with sound healing.
Oh, yeah.
And just the whole concept of like resonance and our words being resonance and the things that we say mattering and meaning something. And when we say something out into the universe or when we say it in our head, what's the implications? What are we telling ourselves? What are we
Mhm.
telling other people?
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Well, what else would you like to share with the listeners in relation to anything like what you do, what you want to contribute to the world, or how they can connect
Mm,
with you and work with you, or if you said something that really resonated with them, how do you want to bring this all together?
yeah.
What
So
do you?
you can find oh go ahead.
Nope, I was just like, what do you want them to know? Period.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So you can find me at either kristitrader.com. It is spelled interesting. It's Kristi, and then Trader is Trader. Or you can
And
find
we'll
me
put
at
those in the show notes too, so that'd be
oh,
easy.
perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. And then you can also find me at EmbodyKind. And EmbodyKind is a movement that I started with about 20 different colleagues who were also in the kindness space. And we wrote a book together. And the book is literally about kindness and setting the stage for how do we be kind to ourselves? How do we be kind in our communities? How do we be kind at schools? How do we be kind in workplaces, with our partners, with our kids? I mean, all over the place. And it's professionals really expressing like how they made that shift and how it worked for them in those different spaces. And we were super wowed. It became a bestseller on day
Awesome.
one.
Yay.
And so yeah, I would encourage folks, check out those two spaces. I'm in all socials. And I'm absolutely open to working with people. I've got open space. And I think one of the things I might kind of, to wrap it all up and kind of bring it all home and put a bow on it is I think one of the ways I found to be kind to myself and to encourage other people to be kind to themselves is to detach.
Mm.
And there's a book right now that's been really popular, and the word in it is untethered.
Ah,
And I think a lot of times we ruminate and we look at things and we judge them as good or bad rather than looking at them and going, it just is.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's great.
yeah. So not assigning blame, shame, and good, bad, embarrassment, anything, just saying like, this is what is, and I get to navigate it. And I might not do it right the first time. It might take me a couple tries, and that's okay. Because, life is all about learning.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you again for
Yeah,
sharing with me today this space, and it was great to hear some of the things that you've encountered, I guess, over the few years. And so embodiedkind.com
yep,
and kristitrader.com you can
yep.
find. And then the book is called,
Also EmbodyKind.
all right,
EmbodyKind, A Guide to Authentic Living.
awesome. And now you can find that at embodiedkind.com.
Yep.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for your time and for sharing your
Yeah,
stories and connecting with me here and with my
absolutely.
audience. Totally appreciate that. And friends, I just want to say that if you found any value in today's conversation, please, share it with somebody. Please give it a like. Give me a 5-star rating. That's a really kind thing for you to do.
It is.
But I will leave you like I leave you every time. Together we create waves of change through kindness. Thanks for listening.